Welcome to Hair Up, Bra Off podcast. We're here to be your new comfort fix with unfiltered conversations on random topics and gossip. As two women in their 30s, Catherine, who's been chronically single, and Sue, who is happily married with 2 cats. So take your bra off, throw your hair up, and let's get into it. And men, if you're listening, take notes. So welcome. On today's episode, we're going to be discussing nostalgia, especially as millennials and as adults, and how it's kind of been a part of our life now. Yeah, a good segue into like our first, when we were talking about nostalgia, is how, at least for our generation and millennials, we're able to, especially now as adults, connect, and we share the same experiences. Even if, like, as kids, if we were in different places, even different parts of the world, or maybe we weren't friends as children, we can at least still share the experiences we had, because at that time we were all listening to the same thing. We were all watching the same thing. It was very united in that way.
Yes, it was unified in that sense because there was only one method of entertainment, or like one, I guess, main point of consumption for entertainment, and that was television, it was TV. So it was MTV that became a hugely popular channel, and then whatever that live show was on the MTV, like headquarters in New York.
TRL.
Yeah, TRL. I mean, those are like
Mm-hmm.
all huge, I think, cultural shows, like in moments that we all shared across the world. Now it's a lot more difficult for that to happen because it's like, unless something goes viral and like everyone sees it, there's a lot of sort of fragmentation in the entertainment world.
Yeah.
But people, like, what I'm saying is, like, people have an audience outside of just TV, you know?
Yeah.
And back then it was literally only one way, which was the television.
Yeah, I think back when we were growing up, there were set channels we would watch. Even the radio stations would always play the more popular songs, and that would be similar no matter where you were in the world, basically.
Yeah.
But now there's so many, there's YouTube, there's Spotify, there's TikTok, and there's just so many different ways that kids can find things or connect with different artists. And
it's almost overwhelming, right? That's like what creates more anxiety now, because it's like, just before you would just be fed whatever, like, this is what you're gonna like, and you're like, okay, it's gonna, like, so much easier. Like, you don't have to think about it. There's already so much to think about. Like, I had to do homework, I had to, like, meet up with my friends. Having MTV was like, okay, that's the music, why go anywhere else? Like, that's the music, that's what I listen to. And and again, because I was in Peru, it would be like, that was sort of like the English channel, and then you'd go outside and the radio was more like Spanish. That's good enough for my brain. I don't need more stimulation than that, top 40 here, top 40 there.
it was
That's
always
good.
And I was thinking about this the other day, is during, when we were growing up, a lot of the things that we had were always countdowns, were always lists. We always had like the top 10. Even I remember growing up on VH1, it would be like, what was the best of the 90s? Or I remember on E, the entertainment channel, they would have different countdowns of 101 biggest celebrity mistakes. Like, there would always be countdowns, and nowadays you don't really see that as much. Like, it's just, if something went viral, it went viral, or if it has a lot of views, it has a lot of views. But for us, it was always that go-to top 10 that we would stick by. The list.
There are no rankings. Bring back the rankings. I like the rankings. It was, but it was also always a surprise where you were like, oh, like, what's number 2? What's number 2? And it was some, like, sad ass song or whatever. You're like, oh man, this is number 2. Like, we were vibing, We're vibing. It was good, and this is what you're gonna put as number 2. So that was fun.
And I think that's another great point, is if we were watching TRL and our favorite, celebrity came on, we would get so excited, because back then there wasn't social media. And so to be able to stay up to date with your favorite artist, you would have to be on point and figure out where they were, what they were doing.
You had to be present, Like
Well,
you
yes,
couldn't
present, yes.
not be present. Yeah.
And I think the way we had relationships with celebrities and artists back then was a lot more surface level, where we enjoyed seeing them, we enjoyed listening to their music, but it kind of ended there and we continued on with our lives. But
Mm,
now I feel parasocial relationships with celebrities has
yes.
also kind of changed what kids see as a celebrity.
Or what they expect from that celebrity, right? Because now you kind of
Mm-hmm.
have access to them on
Uh-huh.
demand. And so
Yep.
you see their whole life and you're like, they could post a photo of something and literally half the universe will be like, we hate you for this. Like, whereas
Yeah.
before you would just kind of have a 5-minute interview clip and that was all you knew about them. Maybe
Yep.
some like stuff on the papers, but it was like a little thing on the papers that would come out and then they could move on with their lives and
Yeah.
they weren't just as available, like in this digital footprint era that we're living now, we get to see almost and like hear everything they say. That's obviously like if they want, but I think once you kind of open that Pandora box, you can't like close it again. Just have to kind of now stand on business,
Yeah. Exactly. No,
and say your point of view.
I feel like before we didn't get to see them on live and see what they were doing and them posting, and it was very curated. Their marketing team was a lot more strategic in what we got to hear and see. And in a way, I feel like that's why I also feel such a strong connection with, like, for example, NSYNC and Backstreet Boys and Britney Spears. The reason why I look back and I enjoyed them so much is because I got to see them as just artists, as just celebrities. Like I
Yeah,
just enjoyed them. But now it's like there's so much availability when it comes to celebrities.
exactly. You start seeing the good, the bad, the ugly of all of
Yeah.
them all the
And
time.
it's like, is that really worth it? Does that really add to what would be the experience of just listening to their music? You know?
Exactly.
And I wonder how kids now will later on see their favorite artists, considering, like, I can't even imagine NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, or Britney Spears having like a Snapchat or Instagram Live or any of that. Like, could you imagine if Britney had Snapchat or Instagram while she was in like '08 when she was going through
Yeah.
everything and she shaved her head?
My
Like, I
God.
wonder how different that would have played out if social media existed,
Right?
you
No,
know?
because now that poor woman is just posting online like,
Yeah, and then the other thing is, and I just realized this, was when we would hang out when we were younger, we didn't have phones to distract ourselves. Like, when we were together, we were there, we were present, we were talking about things, we were playing, we were using our imagination, or we were talking about different things that we saw. It was a lot different as far as I think how kids are when they hang out, and maybe the memories that they're making, because I feel like everyone now who's young is just so connected to their phone.
Gen Z, doesn't drink as much as like millennials or whatever.
They're doing a lot
And
harder stuff.
but well, but regardless of what they're doing, they're not doing it because they're alone in their room. What are you gonna like drink? You're not, because you're just like inside of your house, just like watching the
Yeah.
same type of content in a vacuum with 2 million other people that think the same thing as you. You're never gonna connect with them because it's all
Yeah.
online.
That's so true. I never thought about that. For us, when we were younger, alone time looked a lot different, where we really had to cure our boredom and different things that we had to create or do. And boredom meant calling your friends and going out and talking about the stuff that you just saw on Disney Channel,
Yeah.
or talk about High School Musical,
That's how
where
you would
now.
connect. You had to go outside. You couldn't
Exactly.
just be in your room. You'd have to go outside and mingle.
And that's why I'm interested to see, you know how, like, we, for example, when someone was using the internet, we couldn't use the phone. And that's a struggle that I feel that a lot of not only millennials, but of course the older generation understands. I wonder what Gen Z, like, what is what is
What is
that
her
going to be
struggle?
for them? Like, what's going to be an example for them? Like, oh, TikTok got deleted for like 10 days. And that was the craziest
That's
moment in our times. And that would, like, everything is so automated and at their disposal that I don't even feel like they realize they're missing on those, like, niche experiences that we remember so vividly. Childhood. Like, I wonder what's going to bring back childhood for Gen Z.
I think more than childhood is like they just don't have a community, right? It's like we've had
Mm-hmm.
it for generations and like technology was a big reason why you had to, like I said, communicate with others and
Mm-hmm.
have to actually interact with others. And I think now it's like anything as long as I don't have to interact with another person, like customer service
Mm-hmm.
is all chat now. Like you don't even have to
Yeah.
talk to a real like human. You don't you People don't call anymore, they just text. Like they're actually like
Yeah.
scared of calling. It's crazy because we've gone like from strangers waving at boats because they had nothing else to do. Like they would go outside and wave at boats bye bye. They didn't know those people that were in the boat. But
Yeah.
that's how you would kill time. So you had to go and like wave at people that you didn't know. Talk to the person at the store, you know what I mean, to buy bread. And
Mm-hmm.
we're at this place now where if somebody calls somebody, they will literally kill themselves. Like they're like, I don't want to talk to anybody on the phone. I just want to
Yeah.
text people. And then when they actually do meet up in the rare occasion that they're live next to each other, they're on their phones texting
Mm-hmm.
other people.
I feel like nowadays kids don't even know what other kids are doing or listening to.
They don't even have
Or,
friends. They
yeah.
don't even have any friends.
Yeah, they don't
It's
even
sad.
bother because,
Their
they
friend
have
is
their.
their phone.
Yeah, agreed. We probably sound so. We probably sound so old right now. Like,
No,
ugh, kids don't even do anything. They don't even talk. Ugh, the youths.
they
The
don't
youths
even
of
have any
America.
friends.
They
Do you even
don't.
have
They
friends?
don't. Mm-mm.
Your phone doesn't count. All of that. You
Yeah.
have to speak up and you have to say things.
I never realized how beforehand, if you were lost or if you needed help, you would always have to communicate with someone. You would have to, if you needed directions, you would stop by somewhere and ask them for help and you would talk to them. And it's just those little moments of communication and speaking to
Hmm.
someone else where I realized even though it seemed insignificant, it definitely helped in our communication skills and how we would connect with people and made us more present in a way
Yeah.
where now I feel kids, it's not about finding someone to help them. If it's not on my phone, then they don't have
Yeah.
that thought or skill even of like how do I ask someone who's going to help
That is
me
so true. Yeah.
because they've never had to if they've never had to help someone when they were lost, then they assume no one's going to help them. Like if they've never
Right.
experienced it, they just assume that doesn't exist. Like what do you mean talk to
Yeah.
someone else for directions? And
Yeah.
it's just those little things again.
And you have to trust other people. Like it teaches you how to trust your community to help you out. And I think that's the other thing too, that it's not creating like all this division because nobody sees other people as people. They just see like people on a screen, and they don't
Yeah.
interact with them. So they don't know that they just don't feel like they can trust other people to even talk to or ask them for something.
I mean, of course, like I feel like the way we used to communicate was through AIM and MySpace. And it's interesting because I feel like MySpace came out when how we went from not having anything to then having MySpace and it being our first taste of social media, but it really felt like night and day. And I feel like that's why millennials poured so much time into MySpace and why we were like coding and hacking because that was like the one social media we had. And I feel like it was
Yeah.
at such a pivotal time of our teens
Yeah.
where
Because I think I was like 15 or 14 maybe.
it's
I
like we
think
were
so.
able to have our childhood and then MySpace came out and it just like opened all these doors of
Hmm. Mm-hmm.
freeing up our time and
Yes.
being able
Yeah.
to.
I mean, I
I
was still
think,
doing like everything else. Like I remember when I had MySpace when I was 16, right? I think that was when I had, or 15, whatever. It was when I had my 21-year-old boyfriend. So I remember he was the first one on like my top six friends. Like he was like number
or
one,
top eight.
top eight or whatever. And then I remember going to his, and I would again do the coding to change my music in my page. And like I had this song like got somebody, she is a beauty, very
Yes.
special, really and true. I just remember that. Takes to care of me like it's her duty. That was a good song, man. I'm gonna play it after we finish recording. But yeah, that I remember that. I remember going to his page and he had I was his top one, but then he had like seven other bitches as top eight. And I'm like, you can't have
Wow.
friends that are girls. The hell? And some of them were like,
Right?
you know, when you would do the captions and like your name would be like, you know, like Snow Bunny or like, you know,
Yeah.
skull X's dots dots. I don't know what we were
Yeah.
all doing with the dots, but it was like or like butterfly wing. Like people would do craziest names and like it would all look just
Creativity.
like it all looked like a tattoo of a name. It didn't even look like
Yeah.
real. You know, it looked
It's
like you
like
could like
creating
actually print the name out. Yeah.
it. So it kind of looked like, what do you call it?
It did look crazy. I remember that.
Hieroglyphics?
Yes.
Hieroglyphics?
Yeah.
If that's the word, I have no idea.
Like people would do the craziest shit to like try to make it to look like what they wanted. It was so funny. Too crazy. I think mine just had like maybe a couple dots and some arrows, like equal signs and like, you
Yeah.
know, less than more than signs. And then I had like Sue Helen with like some like at symbol or something like that. I
I
think that's what it
wish
was.
I wish I can go back on my MySpace page. I wish I can just look at what I used to post. And I was all like, I was just thinking also as you were talking about
Wait,
like the,
also, what did we used to post? There was like not a lot to post about in that
yeah,
site.
luckily again, we were basically limited by what was available. So it kind of made it where it didn't become consuming MySpace because it had its limits obviously on what we could post
Yeah.
and what we could really edit, although we were learning hacking skills and coding and the way we could create our profile and stuff. We could only really post pictures, and there's only so many pictures you can post. There's
Right.
only so many friends that you can stalk. And so I think it was more like a creative outlet. I think that was the taste of what we really like.
Mm-hmm.
We got to see what the internet could really provide.
Yeah.
Prior, yeah, we would go on like websites and we would go on like AIM, but MySpace was the first realization of like, oh wow, this is what the internet has to offer us and how we can use it for
Which is so
ourselves or how to
funny.
be
It was a very
creative.
like very static page of someone's just like 2 minute thoughts, you know? Like it was just
Exactly.
so just random and to think that we were still interested in that, like that was the first social experiment of putting our social life offline online, you know, like
Yeah.
we were so curious of like because I was like who are these top seven bitches, you know, let
Amen.
me go stare at what they have and look at their seven pictures and
It's
their
like
two blogs.
you started realizing you can learn a lot more about people just by
Yeah,
clicking. And
exactly.
did you, for some reason, one of the songs that I remember for my MySpace was, I think it's like Head Automatica was the band and it was Beating Hearts Baby. Did you ever hear that song? It goes,
No.
Beating Hearts Baby, baby, is this love for real? Let me in your arms to feel the beating. No, okay, I can see it's not clicking, but that was one
It's not
song that I
clocking.
like. Um, it's not clocking. You're not standing on business with this song, Sue, because I
I'm not
remember
standing
that.
on business.
I remember that being my like number one MySpace song. But yeah, that was like our first taste. And the other thing is that was our social media, but the other good thing about it is that it wasn't an algorithm trying to feed us certain things. It wasn't trying to suck us in more. It was very basic and a creative outlet, and we were able to use it in our own way. Like we controlled it more than it controlled us.
Mm-hmm.
Where now I feel everyone's algorithm is so different because it's trying to be so personalized that it it kind of ruins the greater experience, I
Yeah,
guess.
for
You
sure.
know?
Yeah.
Like with MySpace, we all remember it this way, basic in what it offered.
Yeah, it was very basic. It gave you like you could only be there for like also a certain time because again, like you could only connect with the 7 people that you saw on someone's page, and then at some point you'd be like, okay, well, I've seen it all,
Yep.
and this is the only thing that I was interested in. And like also didn't you couldn't like jump pages as easily, I guess. It was just very static, I think, and not very dynamic and not very like intuitive. Now, I mean like even when you're on Instagram, like they suggest people that you might want to see,
Yeah.
all the time. So then you get caught up in this like, oh, I actually do want to see this other person's like page. And not so now you're like clicking through different pages and pages like find out about their life,
Yeah.
and it's like it goes on forever. And I mean, honestly, like I think it kind of hit this like I don't this need I think for people that people have to just like find out about other people's lives. Like how
Yeah.
curious we are in other people's lives, like what they're up to. I'm just surprised, like you don't have Instagram. So
I know, and it's been like 15 years since I've had Instagram, so I have no idea. Anytime I'll go on someone's phone and I'll be like, oh, can I look at Instagram and see what's going on? It's just so different from what I remember it. I feel like there was one thing that we had mentioned where we just feel like the algorithm can also be so different for everyone and create such different experiences that it's almost killing nostalgia, and
hmm
it's killing that connection that people would typically have where they have shared experiences,
yeah,
because now it's all about you, not your peers.
yeah.
It's more how
It's
can we
also
get
better for
you
yeah, it's
for
better for
what?
capitalism. It's better for capitalism. Capitalism wants
Yeah.
there's nothing that they want more than a person that's like alone and that, you
Oh,
know.
right. And the other thing is like movie theaters. Like we would go as kids to see movies and there would be lines and you would want to see the new one that came out, but now I feel like everyone just has so many options on streaming that I feel the only people that go to movies nowadays is really adults. Like,
You were just mentioning that and I'm like, I may go watch a movie. Like I really like I enjoy
right?
watching movies, like by myself or with somebody. Like I like the experience of like leaving the house and like
Exactly.
doing
Yeah.
that. Yeah, for sure. People don't
And
like that anymore.
you don't realize how much those experiences kind of shape or help people to become more social because you have to talk to other people, where now that's just not the case.
Yeah.
And
And I mean, I think we all don't mind like talking to somebody to kind of get, what we want or what we need or collaborate or like kind of encourage people to do something. And it's a lost skill because if you're not able to communicate, you can't lead. If you can't lead, you can't move through life.
yeah, I
And you can't have
agree.
a podcast.
And you can't have a podcast
And
and
you
you
can't
can't
have
talk
a
about.
and you can't have a successful podcast that four
Amen.
people listen to religiously. What matters
And
is the
us in the
loyalty.
future.
Volume
Yeah.
doesn't matter. What matters is loyalty for sure.
Um yeah. I think I've like said ever. Is there anything else you want to like?
No, I think that's it. So, in conclusion, we've decided that the internet ruined our lives. I think
Yes.
that's I think that's what we said in the entire time that we've been talking, and how now everybody's just more alone because nobody likes to talk to anybody and nobody likes to work up the courage to call somebody else and communicate and ask for help,
Yeah.
you know? I think if we can leave this audience with something is to try to develop those skills because you're going to need them. One day your phone's going to fall out in the middle of the ocean and you're going to have to talk to somebody and ask for directions, and you're going to have to trust that society can take care of you.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can't trust the community around you. That's a good thing.
And I think how we experience nostalgia, and I feel now we're just waiting to see what that means for the future of nostalgia and what it will mean, and even if it continues being a thing, you
Hmm.
know. Thank you so much for being with us, and tell your friends, men, or enemies we're not picky. Follow Hair Up, Bra Off everywhere you scroll. Take care of yourself, and we'll see you next time.